All right, everybody, what is going on? Good morning. Happy Saturday. We have made it to the weekend once again, and it is time to open up the book on open free agency. That's right. It's about that time of the year. Open free agency is going to be upon us in just about 2.5 weeks, and we've got to figure out who is out there that the Seahawks might target. And we're going to go through positions. We're going to be doing running backs all day today. We're going to loop back around and do other key positions like maybe right guard, maybe a little bit of edge rusher, wide receiver in future days. And by the time we get to the actual free agency period, which starts, I think, March 9th, March 10th, somewhere around there, we will know everything we need to know. So we're opening it up with running back, and we're going to open it up with the top guys at the position, the guys who I think could be feasible, good starters in this league. All right, everybody, before we go any further into this video, I want to take a minute to tell you guys about the Sleeper app and some new functionality they've recently rolled out, Team Picks. With Team Picks, you can pick winners in all kinds of sporting events. Right now, we have NBA basketball, college basketball, NHL hockey is going on, baseball's going to start in a little more than a month, and of course, you have futures in the NFL, even though the games in the NFL are over. Right now, if you look to my left here, you can actually see you can bet on next year's Super Bowl winner. They've got the Seahawks leading the way in those odds, by the way, at 12%. How does that make you feel as a Seahawks fan? But you can bet on MVP, you can bet on draft picks, you can bet on player destinations, all kinds of fun stuff, even though the season is over. So that is Team Picks over on Sleeper. A lot of fun stuff you can do. Now, when I say that, I do mean it. They can be starters in this league. The problem is, not all of them could necessarily be good starters for this team. And that's something we're going to have to get into as we go through it here. But let's open up on the crown jewel of the open running back free agent market for me, Breece Hall. To me, if the Seattle Seahawks do not retain Ken Walker, Breece Hall is very close to a must obtain. If you don't get Breece Hall and you lose Ken Walker, in my mind, you are then kind of forced to trade for somebody. Trade for somebody like an Etienne from Miami, or there are going to be a couple of other guys out there like that, but Breece Hall is going to become priority number one if you can't retain Ken Walker in my book. Hasn't even turned 25 yet, came out the same draft class as Ken Walker, and you can go back. I liked Breece Hall more than Ken Walker in that draft class. I thought he was going to be a better NFL player. Now, to this point, I don't know if you can say that he has been a better running back in the NFL than Ken Walker, but remember, he had a devastating injury his rookie season. It was either an Achilles or an ACL. I can't remember which one, but he was off to a good start. Things were going fairly well on, by the way, a Jets team that has been basically terrible his whole time there. And then he suffered a devastating injury, and the next couple years, kind of getting back on track here slowly but surely. And we're now in a place where he just came off a 1,000-yard season, and he's played in every game except for two over the last 3 years. And he's also a very prolific receiver. I think we can say he's pretty much past the injury now. It is something that lingers in the back of your mind, but at the same time, he's held up fairly well, and he's gotten more touches over the last 3 years than Walker has. He had 300 touches in 2023 and hasn't really broken yet. So, very good player, much better receiver than Ken Walker. Maybe not as good of a pure running back, but he is an excellent all-around offensive threat. You can see that he's been more efficient with his touches than K9. There is a little bit of a fumble concern that you don't have with Walker. That would be one of the hangups here. He does fumble, but other than that, I think that you are seeing a little bit of a, at the very least, more productive player. It's a little bit tricky, right? Because with the Jets, you're playing with Justin Fields, who is a dual threat QB. Even if Fields is terrible, which he is, at the very least, he can take off and run and provide that additional dimension of problems for a defense that sometimes makes life easier for a running back. But this is a very, very good player. And Pro Football Focus likes him a lot, 83.5 grade for 2025. And this is the guy to me. And honestly, like you go to Spotrac right now, his average annual salary comes out to 10.4 million. 4 years, 41.6 million is the market value contract they suggest. If my choices are to give Breece Hall 10 million a year or give Ken Walker like 15, 16 million a year, to me that's easy. I'm going to Breece Hall. He's, I think, a similar player in terms of the way that he plays. He offers some new stuff in the sense that he's a much better receiver, and I also think he's probably a little bit better of a blocker. There are other problems that Breece Hall introduces. There's some areas where maybe he's not as good, but I think it evens out pretty darn well. And if I'm saving that much money, yeah, I'm doing that. So Breece Hall is that dude. There are other players in this free agency class that I think can be good starters, like Javonte Williams. And Javonte, great comeback story. He's going to turn 26 right around the time of the draft. And this is a story that's somewhat similar to Breece Hall. He suffered a devastating injury early in his career, 2022. I can't remember if it was an ACL or an Achilles or maybe even both. It was bad though. And the next 2 years in Denver, he just kind of bobbed around, didn't really produce that much, wasn't very good. But 2025 with the Dallas Cowboys, he had his big breakout season finally. Seems like the injury is officially behind him. 1,200 rushing yards. That's more than Ken Walker's ever had in a season. And he missed one game. And he's also a capable receiver. I don't think that he necessarily does a ton in terms of efficiency as a receiver. He's not like a huge threat, but he can catch the ball. He can do his job. And you take a look at it. If you give him some grace for the last 2 seasons because he was coming back from a major injury, and you just look at 2025, I mean, the numbers I think are pretty clearly better than anything that you're seeing with Walker or Hall. 13 touchdowns, 1,338 yards, 4.7 yards per touch isn't great, but there's a lot to like with Javonte Williams, and I think that there is going to be a team out there that is getting a starting caliber player with Javonte Williams, and Pro Football Focus liked him a good amount as well, 75.3. Not stand out, but perfectly effective. They don't like him very much as a receiver, and in fairness, I don't either. He's serviceable. And Spotrac has him at 3 years, 22 million, so that's 7.3 million per year. That's pretty good. That's a lot cheaper than Walker or Hall will be. And I think that could be about right because it's still only 1 year, right? It's not like he's had 3 really great years in a row like that. And the mileage concern is not really there yet because it's over 1,000 touches, but it's spaced out over 5 years. The issue is what kind of running back is Javonte Williams? I think he's a little bit more of a power back, inside zone back. I don't really think putting him in outside zone a lot is going to be very effective. This is not really the kind of running back I look at as a replacement for Ken Walker. Maybe I could see a Zach Charbonnet replacement, right? This guy plays a little bit more like Charbonnet in that he just kind of wants to get the ball and push up the middle. But I don't think I can get him to replace Ken Walker. Like, this is a guy who maybe you re-sign Ken Walker and then go get Javonte as your change of pace back until Charbonnet's better. But multi-year deal, that may not be feasible. So yeah, not a huge fan of that one for that reason. Similar concerns, although a different flavor with Rachaad White. So Rachaad White, been a Tampa Bay Buccaneer his whole career. Same draft class as Ken Walker and Breece Hall, by the way, but he's already 27, so age is a little bit more prevalent here, although not critically so. And he's been in the NFL for 4 years, and he's only missed one game his whole career. But as you can see, he never broke 1,000 yards in a season. You look at his yards per carry average for his career; it's sub 4. He's not really a running back. His claim to fame is as a receiving back more than anything else. 64 catches, 50 catches, 51 catches. He had 3 straight 50-plus catch seasons to start his career. Had a 550 receiving yard season in 2023. And that is kind of where he draws in the positive attention. Rachaad White gets things done as a receiving back. So that's not really what I'm looking for. That's the thing. This is a good running back. In the right offense, I think he could be a problem. He's got a career catch percentage of 89%. So there is a place for a starting running back who can do things like that. And look, he had over 330 touches in 2023, so that's more of a load than Walker or Charbonnet has ever taken on in a season by a long shot. So it's not like he can't be a featured back. He just needs to be a featured back in the right kind of offense. Like, I imagine you put Rachaad White with Andy Reid in that Kansas City offense, he's going to be a problem. So, good player, but not necessarily what I'm looking for. And also, for whatever reason, in 2025, even though he was healthy, as far as I know, production went way down. Wasn't as prolific as a receiver, wasn't as prolific as a runner, didn't even have 800 yards from scrimmage. So there's some concerns there about him maybe not being the same threat that he was in previous years. PFF liked him a lot, so I would definitely not be done with him. And Spotrac says 2 years, 15.2 million, 7.6 million per year. I could see him being worth that to the right team. I just don't think this Seahawks team is a team where he could be an effective featured back. He doesn't really have tremendous speed in my book. He doesn't necessarily have the great vision. He's not great in zone. It's just not really what I'm looking for when I'm trying to find a running back for this offense, because we know what kind of offense we're going to have, even if we don't know exactly how Brian Fleury will do as a play caller. Final guy for this tier would be Travis Etienne. And this, if you can't keep Walker, if you can't get Breece Hall, and you can't trade for anybody, this is probably about the best you can do. Travis Etienne, former first-round pick, 27 years old right now, going to be 28 before the next Super Bowl is over. Spent 4 years in Jacksonville. It was a little bit of a bumpy ride, but ultimately he averaged almost 1,000 rushing yards a season. He was a reasonably effective receiving back as well. This last year, he caught 6 touchdowns, had almost 500 yards in 2023, almost 60 catches. So there's definitely a lot of things that he can do. He's got great speed. He does have some power, some ability to run people over. Yard per carry average 4.2, not amazing, but gets the job done. Yards per touch, you can see it's after the rookie year, it's been kind of downhill, but 4.7 this last year on a Jacksonville offense that kind of figured it out on the fly. Still very good. And 2024 was an off season for him, but you take out that season, really, really good. And he hasn't fumbled very much over the last 3 years either. So good back. Definitely a good back. 27 touchdowns over the last 3 seasons, 25 in 2023 and 2025 combined. And there's reason to believe that he's going to be a very good starting running back somewhere in 2026. Again, does he have the vision and the one-cut ability to be successful in a zone scheme, especially an outside zone scheme? He has the speed for it. I don't know if he has all the traits you're looking for in a Shanahan offense, though. So it's not a terrible fit. It's not a perfect fit either. Pro Football Focus, for whatever it's worth, doesn't love him. They gave him a decent grade for 2025, but we're talking about sub-average, actually. They still had like 27 running backs graded higher than him. And Spotrac thinks he's going to be not super expensive. 2 years, 13.6 million. I would probably rather do that than Rachaad White or Javonte Williams for slightly more money. And again, I think you could make it work, but it's not going to be the smooth fit of a Walker or a Hall, or if you want to get into trade stuff, Etienne. All right, so those are the 4 guys that I view as good starters in the NFL that are available in free agency that aren't Ken Walker. And we already talked about Ken Walker. We know what's up there, so not much to say there. But those are your 4 choices. I like Hall a lot. I like Etienne okay. The others I struggle with. Let me know what you guys think. I'll see you guys later. Go Hawks. More videos coming soon. And yep, that's what I got for running backs.